So welcome everyone. I think it's time to start. My name is Eva, and together with our team, we're delighted to have you on this evening session, Brainstorm Talks. I will share my screen with you. So we have prepared a few slides in the beginning. And as you may know, we have also a guest speaker. His name is Mario Annau. He's the CEO of Quantargo, an Austrian-based company, which is focused exactly on AI in education. So I'm sure we'll be able to hear a lot of interesting and very useful facts, and also from his experience from first phase. But before getting there, I would like to just let you through some important logistical steps for us. We are recording this session, and we're also sharing it on Facebook. It's live streamed right now. So if you feel like switching off your camera, you're more than welcome to do so. And please also mute yourself and switch off your microphone while there is a presentation. And if there is a burning question, for example, that you would like to ask right now, maybe you can use our chat function in Zoom. And also we'll have a dedicated part for questions and answers in the end of the presentation of the talk, so you will be able to answer to ask all of your questions, and we will also be able to brainstorm together. Yes, and now I would like to give you a little bit of background about our brainstorm talks. As you may already know, this is a part of a bigger joint effort. Brainstorm Talks, it's a series of online meetups dedicated to artificial intelligence. And today we have our fifth talk on AI in education. And the whole initiative is organized by two organizations. AIDA, the Artificial Intelligence for Development Agency, whose mission is to support local and global communities with particular focus on youth by engaging with AI topics and empowering them to discover how tech translates into their own lives. And also the other organization is called Jamba Career for All, and its mission is to support people with disabilities to attain key competences, soft and professional skills in the IT and AI sectors, and also afterwards supports them to find jobs in this area. And our mission with the Brainstorm Talks is to provide education, knowledge, and understanding, as well as insights to the challenge and opportunities for social good with artificial intelligence. And as you can see on the slides, we have our next talk on March 18th of March, and the topic will be Future of Work. We'll have again guest speakers. Their names are David Timis and Julia Istrate. So we'll focus on the jobs of the future. So please share and support us by spreading the word, and of course joining our next event as well. And as of today, I will give you now a little bit of introduction about the role of artificial intelligence in the AI, what are the current trends, and also some interesting and useful tools that are easing our lives in the area of education, and what is also the future direction of development in this sector. After that, we will give the floor to our lovely guest speaker, Mario, who will share his entrepreneurial experience and also some of the projects that he's working together with his team right now. And at the end, we'll also have the Q&A session part. And now, as you can see, AI really brings a lot of opportunities to share knowledge all over the world. And by using it and its solutions can really study various courses and have access to training methodology and programs from all over the world. And there are a lot of platforms that with interactive learning materials from the best tutors can really support individuals to dive deeper into different topics that they're interested in. And on the first place, artificial intelligence helps really find out what a student does or does not know. And that way, by building a personalized study schedule for each student, considering their knowledge gaps, in such a way, AI can really tailor studies according to the specific need of the person, and that way even increase their efficiency. There are also some softwares that can recognize the facial expression of the students. And that way, teachers are able to find out if the student understood the material and the content, and eventually they need some further support and help. AI is also used very much for optimization of different administrative tasks. For example, assessment of tests, grading, and also replying to students, which are all really time-consuming activities. So with the support of different softwares which are created with AI, all these activities can be optimized, and teachers can focus themselves on other tasks which are concretely related with interactions directly with the students. And also there are many learning platforms based on AI. So that way students can always have access to the learning courses, and that way they're free to plan their daily activities without being linked to a specific schedule or place or time and so on. And they can really study on the go, which is also very important for us, especially for the millennials and our generation. And yeah, they just have access to the learning materials and the methodology at any place and any time, and they can build their schedule based on their own productive hours. Of course, there are many different roles of AI in education, but here we have focused ourselves into a few different ones, 5 actually. On the first place, as I already told you, AI is very useful for automation, not only for different administrative tasks, but also there are different educational platforms that have a lot of different teachers from many different places all over the world. And according to different matching algorithms, these platforms can match the skills and the experience of that particular teacher together with a specific student. So this is very useful for both sides. In addition to that, thanks to the support of artificial intelligence, teachers don't need to create a curriculum from the scratch anymore. So they can again spare a lot of time, and there is no need to search for the necessary educational materials. They can just fine-tune them and refine them in order to make the methodology the best possible. Also, AI allows teachers seeing the gaps in students' knowledge. For example, maybe all of you have heard about Coursera, the online educational platform. And this platform can also notify teachers if a specific question from a test was many times answered incorrect. So that way the teacher can next time focus more on the specific topic where there is a demand. And right now, all of us, or mostly all of us, are really spending 90% of our time on our phones or tablets or different electronic devices. So using AI in the schools from an earlier age can also help young students and children to adjust better themselves to the technological change. And last but not least, the integration part. AI solutions can really integrate with other IT initiatives such as smart technology and IoT driven networks to provide personalized learning solutions for students. And now, like, we are really in the age of AI, where we have the opportunity to improve lives of people also who have also some form of or type of disabilities. There are more than 1 billion people around the world who have some form of disability. This can be hearing impairment, visual impairment, cognitive or learning disability, for example, autism spectrum disorder, also physical disabilities, and so on. And all these people, all these students, they need accessible environment and also methodology and training methodology that is specifically tailored for their specific needs. So with the support of custom learning solutions and, for example, AI enabled wearables that help people and students with hearing or seeing, that way we can, people with disabilities can learn better and easier to integrate themselves into our communities and also into the society. And also, with the support of technology advancements, the possibility for children with disabilities to integrate themselves further and easier into our social and economical environment, together with people without disabilities, won't be just a dream or possibility. Hopefully, at some point, it will also become a reality. And here on this slide, you can see that we have named few useful tools that can really use the lives of the educational integration and the access to quality education for people with different types of disabilities. On the first place, we are talking about Presentation Translator, which is actually a software developed by Microsoft, and it supports people who speak different types of languages or who have hearing or visual impairments. This is an AI-based solution that provides subtitles in real time. And also by using AI speech recognition, students can hear or read in their native language. There is another software called Widex Evoke, and it's an intelligent hearing aid powered especially for children, again, with hearing impairments. And with its support, they can attend classes without any difficulty. Now, the age of AI offers also an entirely different and game-changing tools for people with autism to help them overcome their limitations. And one of them is called Empower Me, which can be run on any smart glasses. And it connects the wearer of the glasses with a digital coach that helps the wearer interpret emotions and give feedback to the wearer to facilitate this interaction. Another thing is Cute Robot, which is a humanoid social robot, and it is specifically designed for children with autism spectrum disorder, and it teaches them social skills. So this robot can help to facilitate directly speech and instructions without any need to interpret social cues. And Active Math is another tool which employs artificial intelligence techniques to ensure children who have more freedom in selecting a convenient learning environment. And something else that comes to my mind are that there are many different navigation tools, for example, or applications that can help, for example, students with physical impairments who are trying to find somehow specific place or location in the campus of the university. So how they can find that place in the most easy and also accessible way. So yeah, AI really has the potential to transform the special education sector and also the educational sector in general, with the advanced learning aids specifically designed for the different abled people and students. And in order this field to expand further and these solutions to further develop, to be further developed, engineers, educators, and app developers, they need to work together. So that way these solutions can be improved. But of course, there are some challenges as in any other sector. And one of them is that AI education comes at a really high price. And as a new technology emerges, budgets will have to increase as well in order to cover the costs. And another thing that we have to have in mind is that schools, besides the installation of the AI softwares, schools need to take care for the maintenance of the software, and this brings additional costs. Something else is that no matter how analytical AI robotics can be, it cannot flexibly develop a student's mind in the way one teacher can do, for example, because the teacher has really many different approaches and techniques and methodologies that can proactively use to support some student. And at the same time, an AI algorithm or software has 1, 3, 5, or just a specific and limited teaching methods. So yes, it's again just a technology. And we have to keep in mind also that online resources are not always accessible and available for everyone, and not everyone around the world, of course, has equal access to the internet connection. So therefore, this digital barrier can strip many students around the world of possibilities to benefit from AI technology. And last but not least, results from AI are as good as the input data. And if there is a bias in the initial data set, machine learning algorithms will eventually incorporate it as well, and it proceeds to make biased decisions. So the risk is that often we are blind to our own biases, and we are inevitably also pass them to our technologies. So yeah. And yeah, this was from our side as a brief introduction in the beginning. And now I would like to pass the floor to our lovely guest speaker. I told you already about him. His name is Mario Annau. Again, he's a data scientist working on big data projects in the financial industry. And Mario has previously worked in the areas of market risk management, trading, and also research. And he's the organizer of the Vienna-R meetups. And in addition, he has contributed to various R packages and also to conference talks. And he has been part to the R community for several years already. So thank you so much for your attention. And now, Mario, the floor is yours.
So thank you, Ivo, for the lovely introduction, and thank you for having me here. So it's a great honor, and when we spoke the first time together, and when you introduced your community, and also Jamba as well, and Aida, I felt that our visions and our goals are mostly overlap and are actually the same. So I'm really happy to also share our vision on AI and education. We have, of course, maybe a bit of different take, because that's the reason is we're coming from maybe a different angle, but we have, I guess, the same goals as you. And maybe I give you a short introduction of myself. So I'm Mario Annau, CEO and founder of Contargo, and we're offering data science courses, so like online courses on R and Python, which involve programming, which involves also development of models and understanding models, working with data. And we believe that those kinds of skills are very important for the future job market, to understand our current environment, and to include as many people as possible to this new movement. And so our vision, as I mentioned at the beginning, is actually overlaps with yours, I guess 100%. But I just want to reiterate how we see things. So one first thing is so I studied AI also at the Technical University. At that time, it wasn't clear at all that AI was that important. It was considered a very strange study subject, and people were always asking myself, so why do you do that, and is it important? And to be honest, also the job market wasn't there, so not like it is currently. And so how I see things is that AI is here to stay. It's clear that it will shape our environment, as it's already shaping our environment to a great extent. But this will increase and accelerate. So as far as as I see things currently. And this kind of acceleration of change, and we also saw this with the COVID pandemic, has a huge risk of leaving lots of people behind, and leaving people behind who are not digital literate, or who are not data literate, so who do not speak that kind of language, and who partly do not understand the current world we live in, which is driven by data, driven by algorithms, and driven by lots of technology. And so this kind of disparity of where we have this kind of acceleration of the technical movement on the one side, and many people on the other side who can't cope with that kind of new environment, and who actually also don't really understand it, or who are afraid of it, has a huge risk to our society. And we think, or we hope, that we can do our part to enable more people to take part, and to also apply their skills and to data, and to this kind of new environment we're living in. And so we think that since we want to have many more people on board, we want to democratize education. We want to make it available to everybody. We want to make it as cheap as possible. It's actually only an internet connection is needed, and we can provide all of the tools, all of the materials for studying online. And we hope that we can that way to make the world a better place, and educate people that AI is not only harmful, and they don't have to be afraid of it, but they can actually make use of it and make models out of it and use the data which is around. So, and as I've said, the challenges currently is that the society and also the corporate environment we're living in is driven by data, and this kind of data is collected by huge companies. So Google, even Tesla now, Apple, and all the others are collecting huge amounts of data and making use of data, and actually of us as citizens, in a way that we really have to, I could also say, take the power back, but at least for most people, at least if we have the skills around, at least we can use some of that kind of information and make use of it, and make use of those kinds of technologies, so that it's not only left to those kinds of big companies. And currently, so where we are coming from is actually more from the coding and quantitative analysis perspective. So we're using tools like open source tools like R and Python, which are both programming languages and currently also the most popular languages to develop models. So this is really, so we still think that coding is required, and understanding code and data is required to have this kind of in-depth view of models, and to really understand how they're working from the inside. So what we teach is mostly programming and how to use the models and the data. And what we see here is also this kind of division. What I just mentioned is that many people just are afraid of code and formulas and all the others. So for our platform, we decided to not use any kinds of formulas, but code still. And we try to also explain it in in a language which is hopefully understandable to everybody. And already a hint to your community is we developed also the platform not, or currently have developed the platform not with people with disabilities in mind. So like with here with some kinds of, and we would really love to hear your feedback here, how we could improve that kind of platform, but I'll come to that later. So, and how we started is basically in the classroom. So this was pre-COVID, of course, and we did some kind of workshops within companies and also universities. And so if you know, maybe also from your university time or your education time, time at university, so coding classes can be terrible and can do partly more harm than good. And I also included here a video of a rather poor coding class where somebody doesn't really explain what he's using here, and it's hard to read, hard to follow, people get lost. And so that was somehow the kind of setting how we started and how we learned and how we wanted to improve also our, what learners can take away from those kinds of classes. And so those kinds of life settings were the first learning experiences for us. And what we saw is that collaboration is extremely important, and especially in life settings, and that, as we saw also during the COVID times now, where everything is online, is that still collaboration and collaborative tools are very important, also to not only to help each other, but also to engage learners who might be then more interested if somebody else has posted something. And bringing this kind of experience to the digital world and to the digital area is kind of challenging, but we're working on this and hope that we can succeed here. So, so of course, you can also watch the video. I've already posted the link in the chat. So our approach here, how we try to create our learning paths and our learning experiences, is now that we try to combine many different approaches and many different programs. So one is those kinds of interactive online courses where you have quizzes, where you have interactive code exercises which give you immediate feedback. We think that those kinds of courses are great for learners to get started, to have already a nice overview what's going on, to learn at their own pace, to learn at home, of course, and to get ready for those kinds of, maybe to learn some code functions, some parameters, how to put models together, what kind of packages maybe to use. So those kinds of things where everybody at home can do the thing. But also workshops are important. So ideally we combine those online courses after each lesson with a workshop where we try to work on real life use cases, where we ask questions, where learners can ask questions, and where we try to find some common language also and try to reiterate maybe some, or to some of the key concepts here. So really to make those concepts then stay. And also finally, we typically do some kinds of group projects. So working on real world data science cases, creating models, really creating insights based on data. So have your own opinions on data, know how to analyze it, and make your own decisions based on that. And so we have those kinds of projects, and what we are also doing or creating now is some kind of assessment mode where we then try to, where learners have then the possibility to check the knowledge and see, even without any hints or something, if they can still do it and can still succeed with their, or still remember those kinds of concepts. So our approach is very a combination of everything, or of all of those three components where we saw the most success and also the greatest engagement here. And as I've said, so the one thing is the interactive courses, where we have currently already a few modules on R, so an introductory R course, and also some more advanced courses based on for machine learning and advanced data transformation. So we carefully selected also the packages to teach. So it's contemporary, it's modern, and really took the view the view of somebody who just joined this kind of language and also joined machine learning maybe. So so we dropped lots of old parts and really wanted to have something which is here to stay, and for newcomers to have the best learning and also all the highest success rates with those kinds of more modern tools. Because many people told us that, of course, they had some R courses or Python courses at universities, but sometimes they were not so up to date and not updated to the newest developments in those kinds of areas. So this is really contemporary and can be used right away. Since it's open source, of course, the tools are all for free. And you can also here, I have also included the link, take a look at the courses page. So it's all here, also online. So for example, for the introduction to R course, we have a few badges which you can collect. So once you've finished all of the chapters, you collect the badges. And you can start right away, basically. So the first two models are free. And as I also will introduce later, that of course you can also get access to the pro course or to the pro materials for free. But I will talk about this later. So here you have this kind of introduction. It's mostly text-based. We're using only videos for very specific topics. And of course, you have some interactive quizzes, like R works only for Linux, but can be used in corporate environments, of course. It's a language towards data analysis and can be extended with packages. And it not only works for Linux, but also for Windows and Mac, of course. So this was correct. Great. And if you want to save the progress, you need to create an account and can then collect all of the badges and save your... And also, if you succeed with the course, you get a certificate and you can then see how this is going. And for all the ones who want to start right now, please do it, because once we have the assessment mode, it will be a bit harder to do it. So maybe this is a motivation to start right away. And as I've said, we also have those kinds of interactive code exercises. So there's really the language running in the background. And so you can really interact with the language without installing anything. And again, here, so you can basically do all the modeling and do all those things right here within the editor. And again, to save the progress, please register and create a new account. So this is how our course platform works in a nutshell, and you're invited to join and to check it out. Okay, and what we've also created here is an achievement system. So in a way, you need to, so what we have is some kind of code recipes, or what we call recipes, which is some concepts around a specific lesson. And once you finished all of the exercises and quizzes from a chapter, you collect the recipe, which is here, this kind of papyrus here. And once you collected all of the recipes, you get a badge, which is then also, which you can collect and share. And once you have all the badges around, then you receive here then you've completed the course and also receive this kind of certificate. So it's very, in a way, structured around. We also have some kind of bonus achievements as well, but this is kind of structured and also should motivate you to continue and collect all of those kinds of things. So also to maybe also clarify might be a misunderstanding, because we're really in a way teaching how to build AI systems or AI models. But currently what we're not using so far is really applying AI in our teaching process. So this is something maybe to clarify here. This is not what we're doing right now. However, what we want to achieve once we have more and more content and modules, as you see here, our content is basically highly connected together. So also, if you imagine, we have more and more course modules. Also, those modules are interconnected and altogether span some kind of knowledge graph, you could say, where one concept and one topic might be dependent on another topic. And so how we see things is here, it's also not highly AI related, maybe, but we believe that once we've created this kind of knowledge graph here around the topic and around the content, then we can easily do something like, because learners might not want to go through all of the chapters to just solve a specific problem. And what we think is, if we can specify the clear dependencies and needed concepts for some, for example, sentiment analyses of Twitter data or something, some specific use case, if we can specify those kinds of dependencies, then we believe then we can create a very custom track for the learner, knowing what the learner already did and knowing what is needed for this kind of specific problem. And that way, I think we can customize that kind of learning experience to a great extent. It's not also, this kind of thing is not highly AI related, so there is no huge AI model behind this idea, but it's actually how the content is created. So just creating this kind of knowledge graph could then introduce or create those customized learning experiences which are geared towards specific goals. So maybe learning how to analyze this kind of Twitter stream for sentiment. So also what we do is workshops over Zoom, of course. So this is very important for learners to also, especially for learners who are already studying within a group or are working together in companies. It's great to have them also work together in a team on specific problems. We are also using, so Zoom is great. We're currently using mostly RStudio or some Jupyter Lab Python environment. However, what we are also working is on a collaborative code editor, which is online, which is what we call it qubits, not to be confused here with quantum computing, but it's a collaborative code editor, which we also want to use to share live code and to engage people with this kind of live modeling online. And of course, you can also bring your custom use cases and your own data to those workshops. And this is what I already introduced here. We're also behind the scenes working on a code editor, which should make it as easy as possible to apply data science online. So it's based on serverless technologies, which is highly efficient also, all in the cloud. And the most important thing is to make it as easy as possible for users to use this kind of those kinds of data science tools. You can already see here some small examples where you have little code snippets which you can just execute. So you have here a code editor, and also a console which produces some code. So we created here a plot. And so you see that it's quite easy to just get into this kind of language and environment. So no installation is required. It's accessible to everybody and should make it as easy as possible to use data science. So in our case, it's R, but we are also working on a Python integration. Okay, so, and last but not least, a few words about the roadmap. So again, as I've said, we are working on this assessment mode. So to also have this kind of, for people to check the knowledge and to do the exercises and quizzes, of course, without hints, and just checking what they really know, to also make this a bit more challenging to get the certificate, so to say. We are also working on our Markdown reporting, so you can easily create your data reports and our Markdown reports here. We're working on Python integration, so Python is very popular in the machine learning community. So most of the popular models, like in TensorFlow and all the deep learning community is using Python here. And we also are working on a live collaboration feature, so to say Google Docs for data science, so that to make it easier, think of the workshops, or if you want to work together on a project, on a data science project, we also want to make this happen within this year between Q2 and Q3 2021. So our roadmap is, we have lots of work to do still, but we hope to get more and more people on board and to enable more and more people using data science, coding, and of course, make the world a better place. And so our offer to your community, to the Jamba community, to the AIDA community is, since we clearly share the same vision, we want to include everybody, we want to make it possible. So we offer free pro subscriptions to community members. So this is so we would really like to hear your feedback, to also see how you're doing. And also, if you have some disabilities, since our platform is not really geared towards people with disabilities, we would really like to hear, especially from you, your feedback and how we can improve the platform to make it more accessible and more usable to you. We would also like to offer free workshops for community members. So, of course, we need to find shared dates, and maybe we do the introductory R course, for example, or the machine learning course. We can do those kinds of workshops, which of course would also be free of charge for your community. And of course, support if you have run into any problems, we're here. How can we get there? One thing is what you would need to do, as we also had before, go to the platform and create a new user. So go to quantargo.com and register a new user with your email address. And as I also communicated with Iva, Iva would then please send an email to Iva, and she would then collect all of the members from your community, and we enable the pro subscription for you and inform you also via mail. So this is what we would like to offer to you. I hope you take part and you like it, and we would really like to hear your feedback here. And since the talk was already a bit lengthy, I guess, I'm not sure. Yes, I would really love to hear your questions and feedback, and controversial or non-controversial, I don't know, but glad to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Mario, for the interesting talk and the shared information and what your roadmap is, what you're working right now in Quantargo. And I'm sure all the participants heard a lot of interesting and fruitful information. So hopefully now they will have also the chance to ask some questions that they're interested in. And we're really, really happy that we have the chance also to continue partnering with you and offering together more opportunities for people with disabilities and also youth, women, girls, and so on, more people to get to know better the AI sector and also to get more opportunities for trainings and learning. And yes, maybe I can, yeah, maybe the floor is now open to some questions, and yeah, please. I can share in the meantime my screen as well. Yes, and while our participants are thinking about questions, I would like to use the opportunity also to thank our partners, Women Tech Makers, Our Ladies, Talent Garden, and Female Founders, and also to you, Mario, for sharing the event and spreading the word about the brainstorm talks with more people. And yes, don't forget to sign up for and register for the next call, for the next meetup in March on Future of Work.
I'll do, and I'll share that. Maybe I take already the question from Elena. What has been the main challenge in your journey? The main challenge, as I maybe also introduced at the very beginning, is that as an, so to say, expert in a specific field, I wasn't aware of the specific problems which newcomers actually face. So I really needed to, so my personal challenge more to, from a teaching perspective was actually to relearn things or forget things I already learned and see things with the eyes of a newcomer. So this kind, and also to make it as accessible and also straightforward to newcomers to use new tools and to get rid of all the old stuff which might be around, but which is not really helpful for newcomers, because R and Python, for example, are already quite dated languages and have lots of stuff around and baggage around. And we really wanted to focus here from the teaching perspective only on the most modern tools. And also what was also quite challenging from the content development perspective is we have the policy, so to say, to never introduce a concept without explaining it. So it's very important for us that everything which is used and talked about is already explained somewhere before. And this is sometimes quite challenging, how to structure the content that it makes sense to those kinds of newcomers. So maybe the next, I hope that answered your question, Elena. So
should I read it?
so many options available in both learning and platforms, how can one weigh, trust, or analyze the options available? That's a very hard question. I'm not sure if I can answer it.
Maybe I can
Yes.
clarify it a little bit too. If you're just getting started out and you don't have much knowledge about any of the specific languages, there seems to be so many options that you feel kind of overwhelmed with which one to go with or which one to start with, where to start. Like how can you understand the different learning platforms that are available for the languages?
That's a very good question. Of course, I'm biased. We have also a learning platform and of course use ours. It's very, so what I've seen so far is the types of learners are very different. So there's the students who basically want to learn everything or are interested or just want to apply for a job. There are already seasoned, maybe people in some departments who want to grasp an overview of it, but don't want to get too deep into it. So it's very, I think it's hard. So as a learner, I cannot give you the exact answer here because each platform tries to solve a specific problem or is geared towards a specific target group. For us, it's mostly, so you don't need, for the learning platform we developed, you don't need any prior knowledge here. And it's easy to get started and you don't need to have any kinds of prior knowledge. Of course, what we would recommend is to also do some, what's always helpful, because there's, as you said, so much content around, to have also your own goals preset. So maybe it's some data set you want to understand better. Maybe it's some model you want to learn and want to understand better. So this is kind of the goals you need to set first, and then it's easier to find the right materials maybe. But without that, just, you know, there is, I think, 16,000 R packages around. It's just huge. I mean, R and Python, the whole community is growing and adapting at such a high speed that it's overwhelming, true. So we did our best to filter most of the unnecessary stuff out and leave the best or the most important ones. But again, depends on your own goals. It's very hard to say. But we hope that we can help here with the platform we created.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you are a beginner, it would be the platform would fit. So you don't need prior knowledge.
Exactly, but I think structured online courses can only give you one side of them, or cannot cover everything you will need to know in some kind of real world scenario. And so we have also the workshops. We're also working on more video content where you have this kind of life experience. So all of those parts are, I think, important, and especially the collaborative part. If you're partnering with students and if you're exchanging your problems, and when I studied, it was very motivating for me to have some colleagues around where we could work, learn together, of course. And this is also engaging for any kind of learning experience, I guess. So this is maybe if you also find some colleagues to work with you or to study with you, it's maybe even more engaging. So from Selma, there's also a question. What do you think when it's about educators and teachers in school curriculum? Will AI be a decider like the AI system says, this is what I should do and I have to, or will it be an advisor? Okay, I have my own opinion here. I am not sure if this agrees with yours, but so I'm very skeptical of AI as such as a learning tool. I'm not sure if I phrased this now correctly, but I'm not sure. So of course, what you said for people with disabilities and so on, it's perfect and can be a huge enabler. I'm not so sure if learning or what I also said here with this kind of knowledge graph, and that learners can then directly learn only the path which is interesting to them. So this kind of knowledge graph involves connected content, which you need to connect beforehand. And of course, you could do it with AI, but it's extremely hard. So I'm very, and also if a learner doesn't agree with AI or what the AI system is saying, I think it's very challenging, and I would never ever force learners to do that or to do what the AI system says or what the bad AI teacher says. I'm very skeptical here. I think it can support, but it should always be in a supporting and enabling role, but not in a do this, do that, and whatever. Maybe I phrase it differently. The learner always needs to have not only the feeling, but needs to be in control in the end. I'm very skeptical of a learning system where the AI has the control of the learner. I cannot really imagine how this is working. So I hope this somehow didn't confuse you too much, Selma.
No,
Maybe.
very much. Yeah, I agree with you actually, because I also think that AI isn't always going to be the perfect solution, just like human brain, it's not possible. So it's very nice to have this combination or balance in decision-making and using AI systems. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, so I also, as you said, perfectly, actually, it really has to be in an assistant role. So think of, I don't know, my 5-year-old daughter is using Google Home or Alexa or something, where even she can use it and she can ask it questions. How's the weather tomorrow? Or who is the president of this country? Or I don't know. And those kinds of things are, yeah, incredible. And she can use it. She's 5 years old. She cannot even properly, yeah, she can write a bit and count a bit, but she can use actually this kind of information from this little box and ask it questions. So this is amazing, but she's in control. This is what I want to say. It's not that the box says, do this, do that. And I have also an Apple Watch here, which tells me I should go running or something. But if I don't do it, the watch cannot force me. Maybe it will someday, but then I won't buy it.
Okay.
So if there are not any more questions, again, I can refer to Iva, and again, thank you so much for having me. And if you can collect the email addresses, and if you're interested in using the platform and getting in touch, please send her an email and we can unlock you for the pro subscription, and would be glad to hear your feedback.
Thank you so much, Mario, again, one more time. It was also a pleasure for us to have you here on board for our 5th talk today. I hope everyone enjoyed the discussion, and also the last part. It was very interesting also to hear your point of view in some different questions. Yes, we are looking forward to all of you who are interested in joining some of the training courses that Quantargo is offering. Please send us an email. You can use the connect at Jamba email at jambacareers.at. And we will then continue communication, and we will support you together with Quantargo. I will also leave my personal email here, so you can also text me directly there. And yeah, I wish you a pleasant evening, and yeah, stay healthy, and hope to see you next month again.